What's up YouTube? My name is Andy and welcome to the Andy's Auto YouTube channel. Tonight we are outside practicing using the oscilloscope. It is close to 11:30 at night and we're out here learning our automotive skills. If you want to do whatever it takes to become a better mechanic and further yourself in your career, then sometimes this is the kind of stuff you need to do, being out here at 11 p.m. working with your oscilloscope. So I'm going to go ahead and get you set up on the tripod, and we're going to do a relative compression test on my work van. Stay tuned. But first, I wanted to announce we've got some Andy's Auto merch now. We got a hat, a shirt, a sticker, a coffee mug, and even a hoodie. You can find these items listed below the video, or you can go to my channel page and you can find them under the store section. If you're interested in supporting the channel while also getting some pretty cool gear for yourself, go ahead and check those out. Now back to the video. Alright, so the first thing I did here, because during the relative compression test you want to make sure that the engine doesn't actually start. And since I have a good running engine, I wanted to make sure that the vehicle wasn't going to start. So I went in here to the fuse box and I pulled this relay right here, which is for the fuel pump, and that prevented it from starting. And then of course, before I hooked up my equipment, I did go ahead and crank over the engine just to confirm that it was not starting. And then I set the relay and the fuse box cover over here to the side. And so a little background on what I'm doing here. This is a relative compression test, and unfortunately I do not have an amp clamp. And I saw Scanner Danner, which by the way you guys should totally go check out his channel. I saw him doing it where he used AC voltage instead of DC, and he checked at the battery. And so in the meantime, I'm trying to use that method because unfortunately I don't have the amp clamp, and I'm just kind of trying to practice and get better with this tool. So my problem with it is I wasn't able to really get the waveform to look proper to really decipher what was going on with anything. And so I did a little bit of messing around with it. Another thing I wasn't really able to do is figure out how to only get the scope to record once you start cranking. It would just want to keep going across the screen, and I'd have to like run and hit stop and then try to scroll back, and that wasn't really working too good. So let me show you what I found. This is one of the last ones that I did, but down here there's the stop and go essentially, or stop and run. But if you hit single sequence is what it will just record one screen. So on a lot of scopes that I've seen before or seen videos of, is they set a trigger for that. And so on this Topdon scope and scan tool, what you want to do is do the single sequence. So anyway, what we've done is I've messed with the settings here to get the waveform to look right. What we're going to do is we got our battery hooked up over there. Let me switch my light back. We got the positive and negative just hooked up like normal to the battery, and we've got that hooked up to channel 1 on our scope here. And so what we're going to do is hit single sequence one more time, and that's going to clear the screen, and then we're going to be able to crank over the engine and we'll get what results come up. Obviously, like I said, this is a good running engine, so there's no issues with it, so we shouldn't really see any issues. So I'm going to go ahead and set you up on the tripod so you can watch it in action. You need some new headlights for your vehicle? How about some turn signals? Some that are actually very bright. Click the link in the description below and check out Auxito LEDs. And if you use code ANDY'sAuto, you'll get 15% off your order. Now back to the video. Alright, I got it zoomed in a little bit, so sorry if the quality is not as good as some of the previous scenes, but I'm going to go ahead and crank the engine over and you can see what happened. Alright, so here's the data that we got here, and if you have an amp clamp, there's going to be a lot less noise, and you're going to be checking the amperage draw off of the battery as the starter turns over, but this is actually the voltage, not amperage, and I've got the waveform inverted, so it's upside down, and it looks the same as it would if you were using an amp clamp. And so for those who are unfamiliar, essentially the purpose of this test is to make sure that all the cylinders have relatively the same compression, and you do that by checking the draw on the battery as the starter is turning over. And each of those humps there, or those peaks, or the triangle looking shapes, the tops of each one is going to be essentially the piston going up and then back down. And as you guys can see, and I know there's a lot of noise and extra lines in it, disregard the skinny lines and just look at the thick yellow line in the middle there. All of those peaks are relatively at the same height, which indicates that we have good compression. But if one of those peaks was lower than the others, then that would indicate that we have a potential low compression on that cylinder. And then if you wanted to take it a step farther, you could find whichever one is your number one spark plug wire, and you could do ignition sync on that, and you could determine which one is cylinder one. And you would see almost like a line, like these skinny lines, but it would only be on the number one. And then you just go by the firing order from that cylinder over. Let's say it's like a 4-cylinder engine. This is obviously not, but just for example. And you have the firing order like 1, 3, 2, 4. And there's, you know, you would go, let's say the low one is 2 away from cylinder 1, you'd go 1, 3, 2. You know, that low one is cylinder 2 at that point. So basically, in a matter of minutes, you can determine which cylinder has low compression, if any, without taking out any spark plug wires or spark plugs or any of that. And granted, on this particular engine, that's not all that difficult to do, at least not on the front side, but many newer and more modern vehicles, that kind of stuff is not really feasible to do just for diagnostic purposes. I understand that on some vehicles a little bit of teardown is going to be necessary, but you know, on these newer vehicles, you can't really be expected to pull all of that stuff apart, and these oscilloscopes give you the ability to diagnose certain engine issues in a matter of minutes instead of an hour or two. And so I really hope you guys enjoyed the late night learning here with me. And if you have any questions about this test or oscilloscopes, definitely leave them in the comments below. I am by no means a master of this sort of stuff. You guys should definitely check out Scanner Danner as well. But otherwise, that's going to be the end of the video. It's a little chilly out here, and I probably better be going inside and getting to bed and getting ready for the next day of mobile mechanic jobs. But otherwise, if you liked the video, please go ahead and leave a like. That helps a lot. And otherwise, I will see you next time.